great kid, obviously drafted last year to Seattle. He had a 7-point night last week in the Western Hockey League playoffs. That's where I start our conversation with Berkly.
You know, you guys are smack dab in the middle of playoffs here. A nice little break, I guess, for Spokane after winning round one. Brandon and I are talking. I'm sure a lot of people are talking about there. Let's talk about the 7-point night, because I don't even know if Brandon and I, maybe your dad, have even had 7-point nights in the Adult Safe League. What was that? Just a special night? Take us through that night.
Yeah, it was one of those weird nights. I feel like kind of to end the year too, I was on a little bit of like a dry spell and like stuff just wasn't going in. And it was getting kind of annoying. And then, I feel like the game before I had a pretty good game. And then that one, just everything seemed to fall into the net. And even like I had like 4 secondary assists, I think. So it was just one of those nights, So that one felt good though.
I think I had one on a Friday noon hour skate against a bunch of retired firefighters. So I know what it feels like. Do you remember any like nights like that growing up, or like maybe more than 7 points? Like what stands out from maybe minor hockey days or anything like that?
Yeah, I feel like in midget, there wasn't really even the past couple years of junior, not even like tournaments or anything. But then like, I feel like that Bantamere when with the Bandits there and I had like 110 or 108 or something, remember I had like 11 or 12 point one night. That's probably the best night I've ever had, but not in a while. There hasn't been anything like that.
Andrew Crystal, you guys get him, after the trade deadline, and there was a lot of trades going on, typical of the Western Hockey League. Did you have any kind of inkling that was going to happen? And then what are your reactions once you get him?
Yeah, well, I think like he kind of knew he was getting traded once the Memorial Cup bid went in and Kelowna got it. And we were at the World Junior Camp together, like before the actual tournament. And I was talking like, hey, you got to come to Spoke. You got to come to Spoke. And he was like, yeah, that'd be great. And, it all kind of worked out good. And I think, our second game in, it was another 7-point night. I've never had a 7-point night like in the past 4 years. So he came out my line. So he's probably a helper of that. But no, it's been great ever since he's been here.
A lot of people are saying, well, they got these two guys and they're putting up a ton of points, and it's kind of like two-headed monster, hard to keep intact. That's maybe for people out east, like in Sasky and all that. Like, what's the makeup of the Spokane team? Because we don't get to watch it all that much.
Yeah, I think our depth kind of goes underrated. Like we got 4 solid lines that can play, and like I feel like our second or third line taking the hard minutes, maybe against the first line of other teams and their best defensemen, and we get to go and kind of just play. Like that kind of goes underappreciated, I think, a little bit. So that makes our life easier. But yeah, we're a super deep team. I feel like that kind of goes under the radar. So yeah, we got some, good star players and stuff, but our depth is really great and helping us allow us to win that first series and ultimately throughout the whole year, I think.
You guys got Victoria coming up this weekend for the second round. What do you know about those guys? Obviously, you've played them a lot. What's that matchup going to be like?
Yeah, I think they're a similar team to us. Like to play a fast, skilled game. I think another Sasky boy there, Reshke. He's a great player, and they have lots of guys like that. I think we kind of match up well in that sense. It's going to be a skilled, a skilled series, I think. But yeah, it'll be a good matchup. I think we fared out pretty well against them the whole year. So I think there's going to be lots of skill and ultimately it's maybe the skill showed throughout the regular season, but it'll be more of a defensive showing now to see who kind of comes out on top, I think.
What's it like playing in Spoke? And you've been there now a few years. What's it like?
Yeah, it's a whole different thing than in Saskatoon. I feel like I obviously went to Blades games my whole life growing up. And, I remember the Blades being down by a couple going to the third, and my dad yanked me out of the rink saying there's no point watching the third period. And here it's a little different. Like I remember not so much this year, but last year we were down by like 10 goals one time against Moose Jaw. And I scored on the power play with like 3 minutes left, and you would have thought we won the Stanley Cup. Like it's just a different atmosphere. So I feel like that part's really cool. And like all these American arenas you go into, like a Friday night, like in Everett or Seattle, like it's going to be jammed. And there's people yelling and there's chants going on. So it's a different atmosphere. I feel like it's almost like there's a party going on in the rink more than anything. It seems like lots of the time, but it's a lot of fun.
Is the team like big there in the community, and now that you guys were in the playoffs, like, and do you like get recognized a lot when you're going out?
No, not at all. That's the one thing. They like. I remember one time I went to this coffee place by my house, and they're like, "Oh, something the Chiefs got brought up." I was like, "Yeah, I play for the Chiefs." And she's like, "Oh, like, do you have a family down here and stuff?" Like, I'm like, "No, I'm 18." So they think we're like 40. Like they don't know like the levels or anything. So that part's kind of cool. Like I feel like if I have my jersey on though, maybe recognize me sometimes, but without a helmet on or anything, it's never getting recognized.
The NHL draft. We always ask guys about that. That was this last year, I guess. That was in Vegas.
Yeah, it was.
Take us through that experience. Any cool draft stories? Any draft moments? How much did you know going into that?
Yeah, like the WHL draft was one thing because I kind of knew what was happening, but like the NHL draft's a whole different thing. Like other than Max Celebrini, no one really knew what was happening, and so went there and like obviously the combine, you do all your draft questions and stuff, and still you don't really have any idea. Then you kind of go there and you're on the floor and like it's just like you can't really do anything. Like your season's done, you're just kind of sitting there waiting to get picked, and it's a really weird feeling. But once you get picked, it's one of the coolest things ever. So,
Did you have a good inkling that Seattle, like you were on their radar, or
not really? I kind of thought Calgary was like, I think they were pretty interested. But Seattle, like we had a really good talk and stuff, but there was lots of talk about them taking a D-man. Like that's kind of was what the rumor was. So I was like kind of laid back in my seat a little bit, honestly, when they were picking, and lucky enough they picked me, and they've been great, and all the camps and stuff have been so fun. So couldn't be happier.
What did you get? They talk about those interviews and stuff. Any weird questions from any of the team?
Yeah, pretty funny one actually. With Montreal, they make you fill these questionnaires beforehand, and I was like watching all these Roman like gladiator history movies, and I was like really interested at the time for some reason. So on the questionnaire, I put, "I love history. I love Roman history," and I get there, and this person's asking me questions, and he's like asking me about all the emperors of Rome, and I am just clueless what he's talking about. So that was so embarrassing. And then, yeah, that was one that I was pretty embarrassed about. So, yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about Maddox Schultz?
Oh, that kid's impressive. Like stuff I've been seeing about him, it's actually unbelievable. It's Saskatchewan kid, just absolutely. That's a hard league too. Like I always tell all the guys here, like that is not an easy league. I say it's the best in Canada. So it's like a miniature junior league, it feels like, and maybe not the easiest travel, and you're playing against guys 2 years older, 3 years older with him, and that's a big age gap at that point. There's lots of different maturity and stuff, but to see how well he's doing, it's rooting for him, and it's really impressive.
When is the first time that you play up a division? Is that bantam? Maybe it was even spring hockey, but organized spring hockey and organized hockey wise. When did you play up?
I think it would have been. I remember playing when I was in like initiation, even like my dad would have me like I was playing with like the novice kids. I remember, and then whenever it was my second year, I'd always try and play up. I remember. And then the 1 year I didn't get it to move up. So like there's like the zones, obviously, like the Red Wing zone, the Flyer zone. I was playing in like the Bobcat zone somehow. I don't know how my dad got that to happen, but I moved up and I was playing in a whole different place I wasn't even supposed to. But I always played up, and I feel like that helped me out a lot, just playing against bigger guys, and you had to think the game a little bit more than you would against your own age.